Hello, and welcome to a very special Halloween episode of Hilariously Unemployed, where there's nothing spookier than a government shutdown. That's right. I don't have to bring you any monsters or any creepy stories because what's happening in our nation's economy is atrocious and scary enough to give you the worst nightmares. Here we are again talking about layoffs, and honestly, I'm not tired of this conversation, but I'm tired of the impact that it's having on people. So, on top of the fact that our economy is in shambles and what some would call a recession, inflation pit from hell. I don't know who some are. That was me. I said that. But our economy is really in a place where people are struggling to survive. Food insecurity is high. People are who were not living paycheck to paycheck are now living paycheck to paycheck. And of course, those who are unhoused are having even more detrimental impacts to them. So when we think about what's going on in the news and all of the hot takes, I just want to break some of it down for you. Our current unemployment rate is 4.3%. Doesn't sound crazy, right? It is, and it's going to climb, unfortunately. Not only that, but with this government shutdown, we're seeing major industries be impacted. Of course, our military is impacted. Some of those sailors, soldiers, Marines, they're not being paid, which means their families are not being taken care of, which means that the population that is here to protect and serve our nation is not being protected or served by our government. It's truly sad to see. I was driving on the street the other day. I passed a local food bank that is not too far from my house, and the line was wrapped around the corner. Why, you ask? Probably because SNAP benefits, which are going to be the Nutrition Assistance Program, also known to many as food stamps, is going to be impacted by this government shutdown as of November 1. Some of those who rely on these government assistance programs will not have that money or that supplemental income in order to feed themselves and their families. Over 40 million people, 40 million Americans use the supplemental nutrition assistance program. So when you think about that number, just think about the impact of those people who are so used to having this income come in or these benefits come in to be able to feed their family, to be able to survive. Missing a paycheck as a military family is hard. You're thinking about your livelihood and how you are going to survive as you are also trying to protect and serve our nation. Not only that, when we think about this government shutdown and who else and what else is going to impact, baby, it's cold outside. Heating and cooling assistance is also something that's going to be impacted by this government shutdown that continues. Federal civilian workers also impacted by that shutdown. And what do you know it? Air traffic control. I don't know if y'all have seen the lines at TSA, specifically in that Atlanta airport, but the TSA agents are not coming to work. Would you if you were not getting paid? Absolutely not. So these are the things that we need to think about when we think about our government shutdown and what's happening. And really, we need to look inside of ourselves and see who and how we can help them. This platform is built to do just that. So I'm happy to be here with you all through this time that is so challenging for so many. Just a few more highlights I want to announce. UPS announced major layoffs. Okay, they're at the top of the chain when it comes to the layoffs this year with over 48,000 layoffs. Amazon, they said 30,000, but after doing some deeper diving, I saw that 14,000 jobs had already been cut. They probably have plans to cut more, but these are corporate employees. These are middle management folks. So when you think about the AI and the automation, we thought that would impact the people who are on that supply chain or the people who are packaging the orders, delivering the orders. This is impacting those who are in corporate spaces in middle management as well. Nobody is safe, y'all. Target, even though we don't go there no more, they just laid off 1,000 people, y'all. 8,000 people. Now, when you think about Target and you think about the fact that we are in fall, which means the holiday season is upon us, Target usually can't afford to lay off workers prior to the holiday season. They're usually hiring seasonal employees. So 1,000 people clipped from their jobs over at Target. And then Kroger, groceries as well. We got all of these holidays. We got the beans, greens, tomatoes, potatoes. We're supposed to be doing all that very soon, but Kroger also announced a layoff of 1,000 of their corporate employees. Nestle snuck this in. This one didn't make big headlines like the Amazons and the UPSs. 16,000 employees. Not even the chocolate is safe from this, y'all. Here on this Halloween episode of the Hilariously Unemployed. And just a final rundown, the states with the highest unemployment rate currently, California, Nevada, Michigan, and not a state, but honorable mention to DC. And I wonder why. Well, that's enough for me on that, y'all. I hope that you all are staying safe. You're well prepared for this economic shift that we are having. You are in touch with the resources that you need. You are open and honest about what it is that you need, because right now this is about surviving and really riding this tide out until our economy is in a much better place and things look better. But I'm here to talk to you about all things that impact those who are employees, who've been laid off, who transition, who are job seekers, any and everybody when it comes to this job space. And I'm so excited to welcome back a guest that I had on a previous season, because the work that he's doing is so in alignment with what I want to do here at this podcast and what we've been doing as a community of Hilarious. It's important to be safe in your job search. October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month, but we're here to spread some additional awareness for job seekers when it comes to applying for jobs. I am happy to welcome back to the show, and Hilarious, please give a warm welcome to Jay Jones, the profiler. Welcome back, Jay.
Hey, thank you for having me. Nice to be here again. Great intro.
It's lovely to have you. Oh, thank you so much. I look so much forward to those. And just getting that stuff off of my chest because it needs to be said.
Yeah, it's a scarier time than having a ghost job. So
it
apropos.
Yes, it is. All right, so on this Halloween episode, we are not going to be short of any Halloween puns, as you see, ghosts and scams. What's scarier than that? But Jay, I want to welcome you back. If you all are fans of the show, if you've listened to previous seasons, you heard Jay back on an episode, and he kind of brought this to the forefront to me, which it really wasn't on my radar or something that I was super well aware of outside of the scam texts that I get from people about jobs all the time saying join them on WhatsApp, because that's crazy. And but he has really shed light on this situation for me and so many others on LinkedIn, and his work is now going beyond that. But you know how we start every single show here. So the people haven't heard from you in a while here on the Hilariously Unemployed, Jay. First things first, how long have you been hilariously unemployed?
Since December 4th of 2023.
It's been a long ride. It has been a long ride. And what are you doing for income right now?
The support of the people, periodically, if I'm able to land a copywriting client, that helps keep things going. But, working on finding, either a full-time job as a copywriter or more sustainable opportunities through my work as the profiler and protecting people from scams.
So we're going on a year of unemployment. Yo, when I
2 years, 2 years. Yeah.
2 years of unemployment. When I say it's tough out here, I'm not making it up. People are having a very hard time landing a job. And on top of that, we have people that are taking advantage of others through job scams. So the job market is already tough enough. We know. Now we have on top of that the fact that people are getting scammed. This has been happening for a while, but it seems like they've gotten more emboldened, more structure. They got more organization behind it. Jay, give us a quick synopsis on what's really happening out there in the world of job scams.
They're intensifying. The scammers, they are getting more emboldened because there's no accountability. There's no direct assault against them outside the work that I do, which is, been noted. And then the work of others that have joined in to help me in the mission. But, they get more emboldened because they're sending a ton of mass messages. They're reaching out to people due to these various data breaches that have happened over the previous months. And so a lot of people's personal information is out there. And so they have the ability to weaponize it. And then there's a sharp uptick in real verified accounts on LinkedIn that are being compromised and hacked by scammers. And so a way to circumvent that initial disbelief and initial distrust that people have of a profile that has very few followers and, not a lot of experience on LinkedIn, they're circumventing that by hacking established accounts to better sell their scams and their lies.
Wow. Okay. So that's a lot. Let's rewind a little bit and tell people how you become the hero that you are, the profiler, and how this even came about for you.
Yeah, for me, I mean, when I got the news that I was being laid off, I was depressed, I was sad, I was angry. And, I had heard rumblings about how bad the job market was back then, but I just tried not to believe it. But the minute I put up the open to work hashtag and the green banner on my profile, I was blasted by people who I thought were real resume writers and people who had real opportunities for me. And when you're
Mhm,
laid off, I call it layoff PTSD because you're at one moment you're fully committed, you're doing all you can to generate great results for the company that you work for, and then
mhm,
in one fell swoop you get a cold message or a surprise teams message, like my case was, where you're told you're laid off and then that's it. And so I noticed that these resume writers that were reaching out to me, they all typically had like the similar template, or they had a lot of content on their profile, but it just didn't match how they spoke to me in the DMs. And so I got
mhm,
suspicious and started to look into it. And I realized they were stealing pictures of attractive women from either realty websites or other women that are on LinkedIn, and stealing information from real resume writers, like stealing
mhm.
their about sections, their certificates, and whatnot. So initially, when I realized it was fake, I would block it and just try to ignore it. But I started to be bothered by the fact that though they couldn't get me, they're out there trying to get millions of people and they will succeed. And so if I didn't say something, I felt a responsibility in that. And so that's what got me started.
Wow. Okay, so you are in your own situation of being laid off and you're seeing these people reach out. It takes like a lot for a person to come outside of themselves and be like, okay, like it was bothering me, but now it's really bothering me for others because maybe I'm able to catch the flags, but other people are not. And how do I do something about that? So kudos
Mhm.
to you for like stepping outside of yourself and saying how big this problem was and what it could potentially be to other people and truly the impact of those things. So,
Yeah, thank you.
how big of a problem is this right now? Are they becoming more visible or is the quantity just increasing? Like, how big of a scale is this whole situation?
It's a multinational and a global issue. And what happens is there are multiple countries that are involved in this: Nigeria, Pakistan, India, and other ones. And it's not the countries per se, but it's the people from those countries that are being bad actors and infiltrating U.S. citizens' profiles, U.S. citizens' personal information, compromising it, stealing multiple amounts of money from them in the thousands, if not millions. I mean,
Wow.
scamming is a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Mhm.
Most recently, I heard the story of an executive woman who was searching for a job, and she got in touch with a resume writer slash career coach, and she lost $60,000. So, I mean, that's some people's annual salary. And in the worst case scenarios, I've seen people kill themselves because they were scammed. And
Mhm.
so it's a major issue. And that's what actually got me in this path, because I thought about the people that would be harmed. I thought about the people that would end things because they were scammed, and so I couldn't tolerate that.
Yeah.
But it's a pervasive issue. They're more visible, but at the same time, they're being more sneaky by, like I said, hijacking real profiles. Uh,
Mhm.
AI has enabled them to sound professional and sound like they're legitimate, but in the process of doing that, like I always say, the more they try to hide, the more they reveal themselves. And the work that I do makes it a lot harder on them to pull this stuff off.
Yeah, you are shining a light directly on some of these scammers. If you all are not following Jay Jones on LinkedIn, you are missing out. When he builds a case on a scammer, like I'm telling you, there's so many comments. So it's like people are like, "What?" Because
Yeah.
people are literally building profiles that look legitimate. You think you are about to get your dream job, or you are working with a certified resume writer who is about to just take your resume up the charts and make you the most suitable candidate for the role. And they're scamming people. To your point, you said one of the stories you've heard or somebody you've heard from, they were scammed out of $60,000.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is a life-changing amount of money, and then along with that comes the despair, the depression, sometimes the shame of the fact that you were scammed, which is now making this a life or death situation.
Yeah, that's the thing, because she was an executive search client, and so people in the executive positions, they have access to greater income because they make more money with those positions that they get. And so
Mhm.
that's how she was able to be conned out of that much money. And, this is what I've seen more and more. They're trying to look like executive search coaches, executive resume writers, because, the executive resume writers, they can charge a more premium amount on the resumes because the return on the resume that gets them the job is much higher than a typical job that's not an executive level one.
Mhm.
So, like, for example, there's a recent client that I had, Golner. I forget how to pronounce her last name, but she's a established executive resume writer. And what happened was some scammers impersonated her profile and were directing people to her profile through Gmail. But when people were saying like how they communicate, they would say, just communicate with me via here or through WhatsApp, which is always a red flag. If you see Fiverr or WhatsApp, run. But what the scammers are doing to try to look more legitimate is they're counting on the lengthy emails that they have with their marks or victims that they're trying to con. They'll
Mhm.
actually lead them to the profile of the person they're impersonating, because in your mind, you're like, well, why would you actually lead me to the person you're impersonating? You must be real, because we're trying to find hope. We're trying to find somebody that's legitimate. And so in that process, they'll actually give you some truth mixed in with a lot of the lies to help sell the lies. And when she told me about that, I looked into it, found out multiple profiles that were impersonating her, stealing her about section. And then what has happened to the resume writing industry by and large is these foreign scammers will pretend to be them, steal their templates, steal their about sections, and then undercut them on pricing. And so somebody who was just laid off, if you're going to go to a real resume writer who's established and they're charging, $500 for a resume, but then here this person is from Fiverr or WhatsApp, and they're doing the same quality resume as you think, but they're only charging $100 or less, then of course you're going to save money. But in the process, you're giving your information and ultimately your payment details to scammers.
Wow. Okay. So it goes beyond the $100 they may get from you paying for the resume and gets more into a stolen identity?
Oh yeah, the initial stage is the resume, and then they'll tell you it failed the ATS, because I always tell people there's not one person that these scammers have ever said your resume passed the ATS, because that's the con. You'll
Mhm.
always fail. They'll always be the solution to your failure. And then from there, they'll say, okay, now you're ready to talk to my connection at this company, or now you're ready to be submitted as a candidate to be considered. And then from there, that's what they'll say. Either you landed the job pretty quickly, or they'll make several emails and make it look like a legitimate onboarding process. But what you'll notice is you'll never really speak to anybody via video. It'll all be email. If you do speak to somebody, it's probably a quick phone call, something that is not a traditional hiring process, because the minute you see them, the scam is up. But
Mhm.
then they've gone as far as to make offers and steal paperwork from real companies and doctor it to make it look like it's actually from that company. Most recently, I had a case where they stole job descriptions and just copied the job descriptions and put them in a Word document. But it
Mhm.
wasn't on any company letterhead. It was just literally the job description. And they were saying, like, we can recruit you to work at one of the companies was Global Payments, which is a major payment provider across the world, if not just the country. But
Mhm.
they're making their scams more legitimate looking so people can actually give more information. But the ultimate goal is steal your money, and then secure your banking details by either logging your payment through a keylogger, or ultimately trying to access your profile through their LinkedIn optimization services. And what they do is they'll say, hey, we'll optimize your LinkedIn profile so more recruiters can see you on LinkedIn, but if you just give us your login details, we'll take care of it for you. And they sell you that ease, but it's just the way to get access to your profile to lock you out of it.
Wow. So it seems like scammers have multiple ways of tricking people. Like they're coming at you from everywhere. I didn't even think about the LinkedIn optimization people because I'm just like, no, LinkedIn algorithm, there's nothing you could do for me here.
Well,
But
there is, but that's the thing. LinkedIn optimization is a real thing. Like, you can have your profile, targeted in a certain way and worded in a way that attracts how recruiters and hiring managers search for candidates. I've helped
Mhm.
people do that, where it's like, this is a tip. Like, if you have uh, LinkedIn allows 100 skills per profile. So
Mhm.
anytime you have less than that, you're basically leaving skills on the table, because
Okay.
as many skills as you have that are relevant and listed to the roles you're looking for, you increase your odds of being found for those roles. But how these scammers pervert it is they're trying to say like, we know you're busy, we know you have a lot going on, you're trying to find work, you're nervous, you're scared, so we'll
Mhm.
take care of it, we'll log in, we'll do all this stuff. But then they'll change the email, change the phone number. So while you're trying to get through to LinkedIn and say, hey, email me so I can reset my profile, every information or every reset request is going to the email the scammers established, so you're pretty much out of luck.
Wow. Okay. So they're taking something that is real and could potentially help people on their job search, and they're using it to con people who are already at, like, you're already challenged when you're out of a job. You're already frustrated. You're already nervous. You're already working harder than you work in a job to find another job. Like, let's be real. This job market is feels like a 9 to 5 for some folks. Um,
Yeah, it's worse than that. It's like a 9 to 9.
yeah. And then a scammer comes in and it sounds like a dream. Like, I'm going to make it so much easier for you. Right. And at that point, you're like, please take something off of my plate because it's too much. And then they take that and they use that to their advantage. These schemes are very, very sophisticated. So how can people tell who's legitimate and who's not? What are some of the signs?
The messaging style, the speed of the messaging, and taking back your power. Because what I tell job seekers is the job left, your gift didn't. And what happens is when you're laid off, you get this blow. Because I felt this where you feel like you didn't cut it, you weren't cut out for the field that you were in. And then when
Yeah.
you apply to all these jobs and you get these constant rejections over and over again, you start to wonder, is it me? And you talk to so many resume writers. Like, I've talked to hundreds of them. I talk to career coaches. I take advice and suggestions from anybody because I believe you can learn from anybody, and
Mhm.
everybody has a different perspective. And it's like eating the fish and spitting out the bones, because there are things I don't agree with, but if it's something that I do find that is helpful, I'll take that in and add that to what I'm doing. But when you have so much information and so much misinformation and so many people that are seeking to basically profit off of your misery, then it's hard to cut through the noise. But the quickest ways you can determine who's real and who isn't is the messaging style. And when I say take back your power, ask questions, because when you're laid off, you're put into this deferential position, and you're like not wanting to be a difficult hire. You want to do everything to look as amenable and as cooperative as possible because you don't want to blow this opportunity. And
Mhm.
so when you don't ask questions and you ignore red flags like, well, why is my profile standing out to you? And why did you reach out to me? And what is this job requisition number? And where's this company's website? And how long have you worked there? And why don't you have any other online presence except on LinkedIn and this one picture? Like, these are
Mhm.
questions that you ask that will throw them off the templates that they use, because foreign scammers don't know how to communicate eloquently. They don't know how to deviate. If a conversation takes a natural pivot, then that's where they start to fumble. That's where you start to see gaps in the communication, because
Mhm.
they rely on templates. It's like, I'm complimenting you. You accept the compliment. Here you come with the resume. I tell you it failed. Here's
Mhm.
your screenshot of the failure. Then you pay me. Then I ghost you, or then I say you're ready for this job. Then you get the job. I take your driver's license and your social security number. I ghost you, and then I steal your identity. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But then when you say one, oh, well, what about 1A and 1B and 1C? That's when
Mhm.
they start to fumble and either block you or you just never hear from them again.
So you really have to do your due diligence in kind of throwing people off of their game. And like, if they are a real person, they should be easily able to answer these questions. But if they are working off of that template, you'll start to see some frustration coming from them and they won't have the answers that you probably would expect. So thank you for that tip. Are there any industries or patterns amongst any forms of businesses that you see scams more common in?
The resume writing industry is heavily targeted. The career coaching industry is heavily targeted. And it does a great disservice to the real resume writers and the career coaches, because they spend years to establish a brand, establish proven expertise, only to have these, scumbags, to be honest, come in and steal their hard work, their credentials, and pretend to be them. Like, I've personally
Mhm.
taken down 2 websites that were impersonating a resume writer, Aaron Kennedy, and then a career coach slash LinkedIn profile optimizer slash coach as well, Melissa Cohen. And they
Mhm.
established 2 websites that were fake and were leading people to those websites, but claiming they were these 2 women, and they weren't. So I submitted takedown requests. I followed up with the founders of these websites to get it taken down. But they target you from the moment you get started to try to trip you up with your resume, with guidance on how to make your next career move, because
Mhm.
these are the most common avenues that a recently laid off job seeker would go down to try to
Right.
get their next opportunity. Then next, they target recruitment firms. So, like the Robert Halfs of the world, the Insight Global's Artisan Talent, any notable recruiting firm or executive search firm they'll impersonate, pretend to work for. And they do that because they're using the reputation of these companies to make it look like they're legitimate. I've seen them go as far as hijack technical recruiters' profiles. Like there was one employee who worked for McDonald's, and I noticed that somebody asked me a question about whether she was real, and they sent me a screenshot of the message that was sent to them. And this McDonald's recruiter sent this job seeker a role about a job at Salesforce. And I'm like, well, that's not a match. And so when I looked into it, I was like, yeah, this is hacked. And I know somebody at McDonald's who actually worked behind the scenes to get the restoration of that account to the
Mhm.
actual owner. But it's that kind of stuff where an account can be hijacked where it's either 2 weeks of inactivity or more because they see like, well, if you're not actively using it, then you won't know that it's been taken over for
Right.
God knows how long. So they can do a lot of damage in that time.
Okay, so this is not only going deep for like the scammers and the people that are getting scammed, this is going deep for you. So you are not only, out here identifying scammers and people are reaching out to you saying, is this a scam? Is this a scam? I can imagine how full your inbox is. Um,
Hundreds a week.
a week. He's only one man, y'all. He's out here doing the work. But you're also getting in contact with these companies. And what is their viewpoint on what's happening and what is kind of their response, or is there any impact to the companies or the brands or, like you said, specific career coaches and counselors?
What's needed is more than what is being done. Like they'll issue a general scam alert, or they'll have a landing page on their websites that say, "Hey, watch out for these kind of scams. We'll only contact you from this email. We'll never do this, this, and this," which
Mhm.
is good, but it's not enough because by the time somebody is typically going to look to see if there's a scam affiliated with your company, they're probably already 3 to 4 rounds into a scam, and so that's what prompted them to be like, "Well, hey, let me look and see what's going on." And then by that time, they probably sent their resume, which is enough to have your identity stolen if you don't know. Because if you send your resume to a scammer, it places you throughout your life for several years. And if you go to different sites like whitepages.com, where you can be cross referenced, because I worked through it myself, I was like, if I was a scammer, how would I use somebody's resume to actually find out where they were throughout their life? And so if you worked in North Dakota here and you worked in South Carolina here and you worked in Las Vegas, Nevada here, all you have to do is put that person's name in the white pages. And then when you see those matching states, then you have the match for the person and
Mhm.
you can find their address. And then how you fully steal their identity is that's where the fake job offers come in, which is why they have to do the background check, which comes with every job offer. And so that's how they get the driver's license and the social security number from you. And then by that time, because I've seen it go as far as they'll tell you you have a start date and they'll tell you, we're excited to have you join the company. But
Mhm.
that's so they have time to get their full damage inflicting activities done on you. Because if they do anything to drop the ball towards the later stages, you might start to do some research. But
Mhm.
while they have you spinning in happiness because you got this job, they're stealing your identity, applying for as many credit cards as possible, trying to infiltrate your bank accounts. And then when your start date comes and you don't hear anything, then you're reaching out, you don't get any responses. And then all of a sudden you get a notification from your bank. Like, cause I've seen this happen. Like this is multiple stories that people have told me that they had a start date, they got ghosted, and then they're out $2,000+. So it's a real thing.
Okay, so I already ain't got no job, and now y'all want to steal my identity? That is too much. Okay, it is spooky out here. I want to go back to what you said about, so these people are doing an onboarding process, which means these people are doing interviews per se. Tell me about some of the scams that happen in an interview process if people are actually talking to a person.
Yeah, many months ago, what they would do, and they still do it, is they make the quick offer, so you'll never actually get an interview, which is a red flag because when you apply for a job, you're going to be interviewed because the people want to know that you're you. They want to know how you talk and answer questions. But what I've seen an uptick in with this, and this actually goes to affect real companies that have engaged in this abuse of job seekers, which they shouldn't. But it's the one-way interview or the one-sided interview, and I actually made a little video about that the other day to make fun of it. Because what I've seen more and more of late is job seekers are talking about they get onto an interview and no one has their cameras on but the interviewee. And so it's like, if I showed up to this interview and your camera's off, it's odd, it's rude, it's disrespectful. I said it's like voyeuristic, because why would I get on an interview and you're not saying anything? I don't see you. What they are saying stuff, but it's behind a black screen. And what it does is it allows people to operate in anonymity. Who the scammers are, they love anonymity. And then also when the AI advent of recording people and doing the face swapping and face matching technology, what they can do is and then use it in different interview processes and pretend to be you and get jobs as you at other companies. Because I actually saw this happen with this one woman who shared her story on LinkedIn. Someone impersonated her and they worked for a company for 2 years as her. And it wasn't found out until like some sort of happenstance where it was exposed. And the reason it was able to be pulled off is because the scammers said they had some sort of medical condition that hindered them from appearing on camera. And companies are not going to force the issue because they don't want to enter into like a discriminatory situation. So they accepted it because it was a plausible reason to not be on camera. So that's just like one major instance where if you're not on camera and they're not on camera, like there's something suspicious going on, and the interview process should be discontinued and an offer never should be made.
Okay, so not only do I not have a job, then you're gonna steal my face and get a job and work 2 years as me while I'm trying to get a job.
Yeah, it's madness.
That is scandalous. Oh my goodness. Okay, so what do you feel the role of places like job boards, Indeed, Glassdoors, anybody that's listing jobs, and then in particular LinkedIn, because that's where you do a lot of the work. What do you feel like their responsibility is, and what could they do better?
You have to actually look at what's being posted. You have to actually put people, these companies, quote unquote, through a probationary period. Because as it stands right now, any company can list any job, any person can list any company that they say they work for. They can list any educational institution they claim to work for. Like if you wanted to right now, you could say you went to Howard University. You could say you worked for Apple. You could say you worked for, Microsoft or any other reputable company. Because what the scammers do is they have what I call dream career arcs. So like if you look at their profiles, they've always worked at the best of the best companies. Like they go from Oracle, then they go to NVIDIA, then they go to Microsoft, and then they go to Meta. And it's like, who are you where you did all this stuff, but you have minimal connections and like you have the US flag as your banner? Like, come on, cut it out. But there's no vetting process to go back to what they can do better. And then when it comes to actual profiles, like there are things that can be flagged that are nonsensical. Like if you call a scammer, if you just write the word scammer, it can get flagged and deleted for harassment. If you call a scammer an idiot, because scammers are idiots, then that'll get flagged. I mean, I was talking to a friend the other day, and she's big in the anti-fraud space, and she talks about pig butchering. And pig butchering is like, it's really in the romance world of scamming, where they fatten you up with, this love and affection and stuff, and then they rob you. And then that's where the butchering part comes in. But that phrase on LinkedIn is flagged. So it's like, you can flag scam, idiot, and pig butchering, but kindly send me a connection request, kindly respond ASAP, hiring now, and all caps and all exclamation points. Those things don't get flagged. And those are the hallmark phrases that scammers use. And I know it because I've seen them thousands of times. So it's like this selective monitoring of things, this punishment of stuff that's not a crime, and just the slow response time, if there's any response time, that has to stop. Because multiple times I've heard that they don't have the resources, they don't have the bandwidth. Like, I'm one man and I'm doing all this.
Yeah, just hire Jay. Just hire Jay, literally.
Thousands have said that and tagged them, but
like he's already doing the job and doing the work to keep people safe. You said something in the beginning that they're using attractive people to reach out. And then you talked about the pig butchering. Have you seen any of these things like work in tandem where it's like, yeah, I'm reaching out to you for a job that I have here and you're the perfect candidate for, but also I love you?
There's really not overlap with that because that would make somebody be a bit put off. So what
Mm-hmm.
they do is they typically stay in their own arenas. Like there's this one guy, he's a retired professional. He sent me a message the other day about a profile he knew was a romance scammer because he gets approached by them all the time
Mm-hmm.
on LinkedIn. And he asked me what I thought about the profile, and I found the picture. It was a stolen picture of a Russian model. And then what happened was I did some more searching and I found about 20 more profiles that were doing the same thing, all on LinkedIn. Um, and the overlap, that doesn't happen, like I said, pretty much because they stay in their own wheelhouses to not confuse things. But when it comes to the attractive people they steal pictures from realtors because women are typically attractive that work in realty.
Mm-hmm.
They steal professional people's headshots. And Russian models, foreign models, Pakistani actresses. Like I've seen it all.
Wow. So if you find on LinkedIn me, somebody may be stealing your identity. And while I may find it as the highest compliment, it's not safe, y'all. Okay, Jay. I want to go back to what you said about having your resume used to steal your identity. That's not something I thought about. We're all taught put your resume out there, post your resume, sing your resume. Should
Yeah.
we be safeguarding our resume?
Yes, absolutely. Because the original thought of sharing your resume is that you're sharing it with people that have the best intentions that are trying to help you. And honestly, honestly, recruiters and hiring managers, they know how bad it is because they're seeing this firsthand when they get all these fake applicants, when their
Mhm.
job search pipelines are being clogged by people who have stolen the identities of other people. And then this is something that I posited some months back where I believe a lot of people are not getting jobs that they qualify for because they've already been blacklisted from those jobs. And I say
Oh,
that because scammers steal your identity and apply to jobs as you. And if it's discovered that you applied, but you failed in the interview process in some way, then you try to apply again within X amount of weeks or months, then you're automatically like flagged as an applicant that's either not serious or somebody who is trying to scam because behind the scenes they have things in place to detect whether or not somebody's using AI in the part of the application process. And if that's detected, then that's a major red flag and they'll typically just blacklist you. And so this is why scamming has to be stopped on that front because it's literally perpetuating unemployment. Because if you think you're a perfect fit for a role and you apply and you get auto rejected, that auto rejection might not be because of the ATS monster robot boo. No, it's
mhm.
because you were already flagged most likely, and that's why I just say like your resume should be judiciously sent out to people that you vet that you actually know are there to help you because
Okay.
this is your personal information. It's not just something you should be haphazard with. I say people should treat their job search like they're lottery winners. It's like if everybody comes to you with a business opportunity right after you hit the lottery, and in this metaphor, that's using your open to work banner. If everybody comes to you with a business opportunity, you would be suspicious because they're trying to get your money. So
Right.
everybody who comes to you with an opportunity or a job or a resume rewrite right after you list the banner on your profile, be suspicious of, vet them, and make sure this is something that is actually real.
Mhm. Okay, Jay, you just given me a lot to kind of chew on and think about here. When I typically, before knowing you and the work that you do and doing some research on my own via other podcasts, when I typically think of before now, but when I would typically think of a scammer, I would think of like one guy living in the US in a dark basement, just pretending to be all of these different people. And that's how the job scam was going down. But my eyes have been opened wide. So tell the audience in reality what it really looks like on the scammer side.
These are teams, these are whole compounds, these are whole office spaces in different parts of the a world. They have call center floors, like dedicated buildings, dedicated levels. Like if you see a multi story office building in the US, then those exist in Pakistan and India. I mean, scamming funds the economy of these different nations in a lot of ways. Like I said, it's a multi billion-dollar enterprise.
Mhm.
And so this is a coordinated effort, it's a coordinated attack. But the scammers, they laugh and they think it's funny because, yeah, you take down X amount of profiles. When I say you, I mean me. But they think I'll just make another one. I've seen scammers say I have more accounts, dumbass. Like they say that kind of stuff. And their thought process, which is why I'll never accuse them of being smart, they just think that they can just continue to make profiles and everything will be fine. But that's not my main goal. That's a byproduct of my main goal.
Mhm.
I won't say it publicly what it is, but it's in progress. But these are coordinated attacks by people that have dedicated their lives to stealing from others. It's intricate. There's parts of scamming involving pods where these thought leaders that you think are actually getting the numbers and the recognition for their actual content are actually
Mhm.
in clandestine agreements with people that are agreeing to join them and flood their posts with likes and comments and using bots to do that. So it looks like they have this esteem and this thought leadership. So they can
Mhm.
sell you how they can have you mimic those results on your profile, but they aren't telling you that they're cheating to do it. So
Mm.
it's a massive thing.
That's tea. I'm on it, y'all. I'm on it, y'all. I'm on it, y'all people that make those posts, and I be like, this does not make sense. And people are following them, and they think this is renowned information. They love it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bunch of nothing burgers that everyone is like, "Oh, that's such a delicious nothing burger. I can't believe that this is life-changing." You know the kind of stuff when you see it.
Yes. Okay, so Jay has given us a lots of insight into what the world of scammers looks like. Jay, for you, like what is some of the recourse on the back end that we're not seeing? Because you are working with people that don't have anybody's best interest at heart. So I can imagine your messages get pretty nasty.
No, they actually don't message me really. What they try to do is they'll try to connect with me, and they do that as a way to troll me. Literally, like if because I always tag the profiles that are hijacked, or I tag the fake
Mhm.
profiles, and so they'll send me a connection request, and every now and then they'll say something like, "Hi Jay, you're useless," like, and then many months ago, I called out this group of scammers that were running this fake resume writing company on LinkedIn, and it had like maybe 10 fake profiles, and they stole about sections from real resume writers. And in the comment section, a couple of them were like, "Is your brain bad? And who do you think you are, the SEO of LinkedIn?" Like, so like every now and then I'll rile them up to the point where they lash out, but largely they know they can't do anything with me.
Wait, I think I'm gonna have to add that to my arsenal of slick words. Is your brain bad?
Yeah, like I chuckled like heartily. Is your brain bad? And then like what
Oh,
and then this is what was so hilarious about it is because these are people that are claiming that they're executive resume writers, that they
right.
have this ability to portray you in a way that would get you hired, but when put under pressure for being called out for lying, is your brain bad? Do you think you're the SEO of LinkedIn? Uh why are you doing all this stuff and forming all this stuffs up? I'm literally quoting how they wrote it. Making this stuffs up. Like,
Oh,
and I just show the people, I'm like, hey, here they
yeah.
are.
Look at it. These are the flags. They're super red. So hey. All right. For those who are ill-informed or just in a space where they are vulnerable and looking for any piece of hope, run down a few quick tips and tricks for them to be able to quickly identify and move forward.
Anybody that is immediately reposting your post after you use the green banner, or anybody that's immediately messaging you or leaving a comment directing you to talk to a Mr. or Mrs. So and so at XYZ company with this
Mhm,
job opportunity that they never name, that's a scammer.
mhm,
Anybody using a Gmail address in their public comment section on your posts, that's a scammer.
mhm.
Anybody using the phrase kindly send me a connection request, excuse me, that's a scammer. And the reason they ask you to,
That report kindly.
yeah, kindly send me a connection request, kindly respond ASAP. Like I made a video about that too. That was like maybe 8 or 9 months ago. I did that. But anybody that's asking you to send them a connection request or a friend request, that when they say friend request, that's a sign that they copied the wrong template because they scam
Mhm,
on Meta/Facebook, and the
mhm.
terminology over there was always friend request. But like I say, they rely on templates so much that they accidentally copy the wrong thing. I've seen them leave quotation marks in too, like they're not smart. But
Right.
anybody who's asking you to send them a connection request is because they spammed so many requests. And I think you can only send out like 200 per week. So when they max it out, the only way they can connect with more
Oh,
people
okay.
is if you send them the connection request. Um, and then, like, if they just have these vague messages, they never tell you what the opportunity is. If they buckle under regular questioning,
Mhm.
because a real recruiter or a real hiring manager, like I said, they know how bad it is to place a candidate now. It's taking so much longer. And the reason is because of scamming. And
Mhm.
so they would be more than understanding of you asking them some questions as to vetting the opportunity, showing it's real.
Wow. Okay, Jay. So you have helped me and the job seekers out there hopefully stay safe. But how can we as a community also support you? How can companies, people, industries, what can we do to support or work with you?
Sure. So my work under the Profiler Protection Service, it helps companies protect their brands. It helps them educate people that they unfortunately have to lay off, because part of what I do is provide outplacement services. So I love to work with companies if they're unfortunately doing layoffs. Don't walk your people into a minefield without having them trained on what's out there. So
Right.
bring me in and I talk to the people to educate them on how to avoid scams, what to do, what not to do.
Mhm.
Working with universities, helping the new graduates, because those are the most susceptible to falling for these scams because they don't know what the job market is like. And then
Yeah.
obviously the elderly, because I remember we spoke offline about a situation you had, but the
Yeah.
elderly people, they get targeted by spoofing calls. And
Mhm.
what those are is they'll actually take the phone number of a real relative and pretend they have them held hostage, and you have to deposit money into XYZ account to get them back.
Mhm.
And a quick way to determine if that's fake is ask to speak to the relative that they have hostage. And
Mhm.
obviously, they can't do that. And so they're playing on the fear of you wanting to rescue your relative. And so you'll
Right.
just pay. But like I say, ask questions. But you can find me on theprofiler.org. That's my website. It has my casework, it has an about me contact for my services. I have a volume 1 of my scam detection guide, which is free to download from there. And then volume 2 is only $49.99. And it breaks down the psychology of scammers, fake profiles, hijack profiles, fake jobs, how to determine what's real and what's fake, and how
Mhm.
to get to the real opportunities faster.
Wow, Jay. Wow. For anybody looking to work with somebody who is solid and committed to keeping you as a person, you as an industry, you as a company safe, you got your guy here, Jay Jones, y'all. So please reach out to him. And Jay, I can't thank you enough for the valuable work that you do and being so willing to come and share that with me and my audience. And yes, y'all, I did. Well, somebody tried to scam me on my birthday while I was at the bar eating wings and drinking a margarita. They called what was supposed to be my father-in-law's phone and said they had him kidnapped. Now, it was my birthday and I needed to finish my wings and my margarita. I started asking a lot of questions like, hold on, you want me to wrap this up right now and leave the bar and talk to you? But it's my
Yes, kindly do it now. Kindly, please, kindly do it.
leave the bar and go talk to us in silence. Oh, Jay, I can't thank you enough for being a part of this show, joining me on another season. And I am keeping up with you and all your work. And as things continue to go crazy, you always have a space to come and chitter chatter with me here on the Hilariously Unemployed.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And I
You're
hope that the information that I offered has helped you watching. So, as I always say, stay vigilant.
Stay vigilant, y'all. All right, hilarious. I want to thank you for joining another episode, a Halloween episode of the Hilariously Unemployed. I don't know if y'all know, but Halloween is like my favorite holiday. So I am super excited about Halloween. And what's spookier than getting scammed out of a job that you didn't even know that you had applied for and been working there for 2 years? That is crazy to me. You got a job with my all right. Anyway, I just want to thank you all so much. I am thoughts are with the people in Jamaica and those impacted by Hurricane Melissa, of course. thoughts are with anybody who's going to be impacted by this government shutdown when it comes to losing those SNAP benefits. I have seen tons of resources be posted for people, food pantries and places where you can get additional support. So please check on your people and check on your people's people and make sure everybody is good and they got something to eat, because food insecurity is not something that anybody wants to go through. I've been your host and your favorite opportunity seeker always. If you want to work with me, you know exactly where to find me. My DMs are open for everybody but the scammers. It's the Big Sticker. Bye.